The crimson flare of the Coalition's emergency broadcast pulsed through the cold stretch of deep space, a last-ditch call for aid that was likely to vanish unanswered into the void. High Marshal Thorne stood rigid at the command deck of the battlecruiser Resolute, eyes locked on a chaotic tactical projection. The enemy's fleet was closing in, vast, coordinated, and completely unstoppable. "Marshal, hostile fleet will breach the Lyro's expanse in just under 3 hours," reported Officer Rihanna, her voice brittle with tension. "We won't hold more than 45 minutes if they press the assault." Around them, the Resolute's command bridge crackled with failing systems and dimmed lighting. No one spoke. Outside the shattered viewing dome, a ragged formation of worn-out starships drifted like scattered debris, barely 200 vessels from across the fractured Free Systems Alliance, facing down over 3,000 warships under the dominion of Kraith. One console buzzed and hissed with static as General Vec, a scaled warrior of the Tral-11 Dominion, snapped his attention toward Thorne. "Evacuation barges are almost full. But the window's closing. Civilians need another 6 hours minimum." "We don't have 6, Thorne replied flatly, eyes fixed on the incoming swarm. "We've run out of later." The Kraith Dominion had been grinding the galaxy into submission for over 5 solar cycles. Their tech was superior, their strategy merciless. No resistance had lasted long. Dozens of systems had already fallen, countless lives erased or enslaved. And now, the Free Systems had nowhere else to fall back. This was it, the last line. "Any word from the border relay?" asked Lyra Corrin, a scientist from the Kestron colony who had only recently joined their cause. She clutched a small data pad, its screen flickering with static. "We broadcasted to the frontier worlds 4 days ago." Thorne shook his head. "Nothing. The Kestrons are too scattered, too far. Even if they did respond, one colony ship won't shift this tide." Suddenly, the tactical display sputtered and reoriented. Hostile Vanguard vessels had entered long-range sensor range. They were dread-hulled juggernauts, riddled with scars from past conquests, bristling with weapons. At their center loomed the Exactor, the Kraith flagship, under the direct command of Warlord Naxos, infamous for crushing 17 independent systems personally. "All units, battle stations." Thorne barked. "We fight here. By every second. Get those people out." Then space ignited. Alliance cruisers surged forward with desperate force, launching waves of plasma bursts and kinetic torpedoes. The battlefield lit up like a collapsing star. But every Kraith ship destroyed came at the price of 3 Allied vessels. The Resolute rocked as its shields flickered under barrage. Through the viewport, Thorne could see the bulky silhouettes of the evacuation ships still docked, still loading civilians. Too slow. Too exposed. "Marshal!" Officer Rihanna shouted. "New contact, approaching fast from Quadrant X-13. Massive energy signature. It's not Kraith." General Vec leaned forward, voice rough. "More of them?" "No. Unknown configuration. Doesn't match any known design." A single contact lit up the display, blazing in on a vector no sane pilot would take. Its velocity shattered conventional limits. As it neared, the details turned surreal. A fortress ship, dark and brutalist, bristling with weapons that looked almost primitive. No sleek energy coils, no gleaming alloys, just raw firepower, jagged angles, and a ghostly silhouette. "It's broadcasting across all bands," Rihanna muttered, frowning. "The signal's coded in Old Terran. The trace is coming from the Kestron colony." Corrin's breath caught. "That's not possible. We had nothing. No weapons, just labs and scrapers. Nothing like that." The ship exited FTL in a burst of spatial thunder, inserting itself directly between the crumbling Alliance lines and the Kraith onslaught. It bore no national colors. Just one stark label etched into its scarred hull. "TNV Reckoner." A voice broke through the static. "Human, yes, but something altered. Precise. Cold. Engineered. This is Commander Rourke, Terran Navy Vessel Reckoner. We intercepted your distress signal." For a moment, no one on the Resolute spoke. Lyra Corrin's voice broke the silence, barely above a whisper. "Terran? But Earth was gone. We thought." Good to hear from you again, Corin, Rourke continued, his voice composed but edged with something colder. We've had our hands full. All Allied ships, pull back to minimum safe distance. It's time someone reminded the Kraith why humanity is not to be toyed with. The Exactor, Lord Naxos's command dreadnought, responded instantly. Lances of Annihilation-class energy speared toward the Reckoner. Weapons that had turned entire planets into glowing ash screamed through space. The human vessel didn't flinch. The beams struck its armor and fizzled out, absorbed like raindrops on metal. Not even a scorch mark remained. Then Reckoner returned fire. What followed wasn't elegant. It wasn't clean. But it was absolute. Torrents of solid metal projectiles, moving at a third the speed of light, screamed from Reckoner's hull. These weren't sleek particle beams or elegant plasma arcs. These were brute force kinetic slugs, designed to end battles, not win them. When they hit, Kraith shielding crumpled like foil. The first dread cruiser didn't even explode. It ceased to exist, its mass torn apart by sheer impact velocity. What in the void is that? General Vec muttered. Kinetic impactors, Corin answered slowly, awe overtaking fear. Old Terran tech. But these are generations beyond anything I've ever seen. They've weaponized physics. The battlefield devolved into chaos. Reckoner plowed through the Kraith formation with mechanical precision. Every shot hit something vital. Every turn preempted enemy strategy. It danced, not like a ship, but like something that had already fought this war before. How can it move like that? Thorn asked. Corin scanned the analytics. They're processing sensor data faster than we can perceive it. Their targeting systems are predicting enemy patterns before they're executed. It's not just firepower, it's foresight. The unthinkable happened. The Kraith fleet buckled. By the hour's end, the once invincible Dominion armada was reduced to drifting wreckage. Fires danced across broken hulls. Engines sputtered and died. Lord Naxos's flagship, smoldering and barely functional, tried to pull back. But Reckoner wasn't finished. For every system you shattered, for every city you erased. Rourke's voice cut through the void like a knife. At the heart of the ship, a weapon the size of a city block powered up. Light surged down its spine. The beam that followed wasn't energy. It was force incarnate, a kinetic cannon designed to obliterate at scale. The shot lit up 3 star systems, and when it hit, the Exactor didn't explode. It vanished. Nothing remained. Not debris. Not escape pods. Just the vacuum. Across the battlefield, silence gave way to stunned cheers. Rescue frigates deployed. Communications flared with messages of relief. For the first time in years, hope didn't feel like a memory. Marshal Thorne stood at the bridge's forward viewport as a new transmission came through. Marshal Thorne, Rourke said, now face to face over the comm, you thought we were gone. We did, Thorne replied honestly. We thought Earth had been lost. Alone. We were alone, Rourke said. For 3 long years. The Kraith hit us first. They thought we'd fold. Instead, we learned. We adapted. We built. One ship. One that you can see, Rourke corrected. Earth's been preparing for this since the first invasion. We've built an entire fleet. And we've trained to fight a different kind of war. One by one, hyperspace corridors flared open. More Terran ships arrived, sleek, deadly, and unlike anything the galaxy had known. They moved with unity, purpose. Not explorers. Not diplomats. Weapons. Rourke broadcast across all channels. The era of conquest ends today. For every world taken, every people enslaved, we will strike back. This isn't retaliation, it's restoration. And across the stars, where despair had long taken root, a new fire rose, one that refused to die.